Good morning. We're up to the bottom of Mem Beis and Mem Beis. We started a little bit yesterday, but I wasn't able to do it, so we'll start again. Again, somebody is usher to benefit from his friend. We always use the classical example that Reuven is not allowed to benefit from Shimon. So lo yashilenu v'lo yeshal mimenu, lo yilvenu v'lo yalva mimenu, v'lo yimkolo v'lo yikach mimenu. So you cannot lend to him. You may not lend to him. The Pasuk in the Mishnah would mean that if Reuven is usher to benefit from Shimon, so Shimon should not lend him, which makes sense because then he's benefiting. But the problem is, it says also that he should not borrow. Shimon should not borrow from Reuven, and that doesn't make sense because the Chor doesn't make sense. The Gemara is going to ask because Reuven is not benefiting. If he's the one who's lending, so he's not benefiting. He's not allowed to borrow because that's a benefit, but the lender is not a benefit. And the same thing over again, but this is in money. The Sheila and Halva, both of them mean to lend and borrow. But in Hebrew, there's a difference between borrowing an object or borrowing money. So Sheila means to borrow an object, and Halva means to borrow a money. So it says the same thing in money also. Don't lend money to him. Reuven is not allowed to benefit from Shimon. Shimon should not lend him money, which again makes sense. Shimon should not borrow from Reuven. We don't understand that. Why not? If Reuven is not allowed to benefit from Shimon, why can Reuven not lend money to Shimon? Why not? And the last thing is we should not sell to him, which would mean Shimon should not sell to Reuven, and Shimon should not buy from Reuven. Here, the Rishonim say that it's not hard. The Pasha says we do understand this because the Gemara said earlier that a transaction is considered beneficial to both the seller and the buyer. A regular price, if it's for a good price, the good price meaning the regular price, the market price, so everyone's gaining because he wants to buy the product and he wants to sell his product. That's what they're all there for. So everyone's considered gaining. So the list halacha would not be difficult to us because there is a case that we're not allowed to lend or borrow because buy or sell, because either buying or selling is considered a benefit. But the Gemara is going to have difficulty with the first cases. Is there a word in English for a difference between lending and borrowing an object or money? It's all the same, just to borrow. It's no difference in English. But in Hebrew, there's sheila and halva. Okay.
Halva is an item.
Sheila is an item, and halva is the money. Okay. So the Mishnah needs explanation. Why should it be also for a person who's not allowed to benefit? Why is he not allowed to lend? Why is he not allowed? You can't lend in English. One word to lend. Sheila, lahashil, and lahalvos. Why is he not allowed to lend? What kind of benefit is that to him? And that's the Gemara's kasha. The Gemara's the kasha. Bishlam v'loyelvenu dekamahani lei. Eloyelvehimenu ma'kamahani lei. So the words loyelvenu means don't lend to him. So that means that Shimon, the one who you're not allowed to benefit from, Reuven is not allowed to benefit from Shimon. Shimon should not lend him. That makes sense because he's benefiting him. You're benefiting Reuven. He's not allowed to benefit. He's benefiting because he's getting a loan. Thank you. Thank you very much. Why may you not borrow from him? Why? In what way are you giving benefit to the lender? Now the Gemara yesterday it was difficult to read it because now the Gemara says the opposite. The opposite is good. So the Gemara doesn't explain, but the Gemara says that the Kashmi does ask. I'm saying what the Rishonim say over here. Now, what the Kashmi does ask is not so terrible. We could answer the Kasha that we just said, but the Gemara doesn't say how you could answer it. But what the Gemara is saying is that the big question is going to be Lo Yishal Menu. Means that it says that you're not allowed to borrow an object from him is more difficult than you're not allowed to borrow money from him. Again, the Gemara says, why can you not borrow money? Again, Reuven is not allowed to benefit from Shimon. Shimon should not borrow money. And the Gemara first asked, why not? What's Reuven gaining by lending money to Shimon? By borrowing from him, by Shimon borrowing, they don't gain anything. But the Gemara doesn't tell us why that's not such a terrible kasha. The Gemara says we can answer, that's also answerable, but why can Shimon not borrow an object? And the Gemara doesn't explain why did you give up on the first kasha? The first kasha is just as difficult as the second kasha. But that the Rishonim say that by borrowing money, there's a way that the lender is gonna gain. Because it could be that nowadays maybe we don't have that nowadays because money's money and doesn't if it's a legal coin or a legal bill, legal tender, so then there's no difference. But in the old days, that the coins were not as defined as they are nowadays. So there's some kind of coins that are better than others. So when you borrow money, you don't give back the same money. You don't give back the same coin. So over there is possibility that lender got back better money. He got back better money. Or you
Might
could
be
say,
a law in borrowing that you have to give back the same coins.
no,
Maybe
if it's a coin, it's a coin, it's a coin.
But no,
There's a small,
rivers.
okay, there's a small marshal nowadays also, the $100 bills.
Right.
They are old $100 bills and they're new $100 bills.
Mhm.
Let us know that the money changers, they don't take the same price for the old. They don't give the same, when they change the money, they don't use the same price for the old ones than the newer ones.
It's true. I didn't see that here.
So
Locally-
maybe that's something that would be like under Gemara's time, talking about a good money and a bad money. Everything's legally $100. But under the circumstances, some people don't want it. Or some people they don't take the old $100 bills. Some money changed this, I don't want this. This is old stuff. I want the new $100 bills. So maybe there's a marshal for nowadays also. So the Mepharshim said that's what the Gemara means to say. The kasha is the kasha. How come you're not allowed to borrow money from him? But it's not terrible because you can say there's a case that by when you're going to give back to the lender the money, he might gain on it. Okay, but the Gemara doesn't even explain itself. The Gemara says that even if the first kasha is not a kasha, this kasha is a big kasha. That borrowing an object, when you borrow an object, you give back the exact same object, and it's even wear and tear. So the lender of the object surely doesn't gain. So that's with the Gemara. Again, yesterday I did not read it because I didn't see it, because the first the Gemara says this is a kasha, and the other Gemara says it's not a kasha, but that doesn't say what happened. So the Rishonim explained this, that by the lending money and borrowing money over there is possible gain for the lender. So let's read it again. That you're not allowed to lend. Again, Reuben and Shimon. Reuben's one is not allowed to borrow benefit from Shimon. So we understand why Shimon may not lend to him, because he's definitely gaining. Reuben's borrowing money. You're not allowed. Why can Shimon not borrow from Reuben? What is Reuben gaining? Then the word that says, and it's not so terrible. But we could understand that not to borrow from him, that there is a benefit for the lender. Like the word doesn't explain why. That the Rishonim took over and said the reason is because the lender might get back a better bill, a better money. It also says that you could understand also. So here I said in the mission that there's no problem with because the seller of an object, when you sell something, so the seller also is gaining. The first we go into the subject over there for what price it is. If it's a regular price, the Gemara said earlier that both are gaining. If it's a great deal, a great price, so then the buyer is considered gaining and the seller is considered he's not gaining. If it's the other way, if it's a very high price, expensive price, so then the seller is considered gaining and the buyer is not considered gaining. But the Gemara says no problem. Also, we can understand. And especially if you say that it's a regular price, then we understand the regular price is also both ways. But why should Shimon not borrow an object from Reuben? Reuben is surely not gaining anything. So that's what the Gemara's kasha is. That why not to borrow money is also from him is also a kasha, but not terrible. We can get through that. But not to borrow an object from him, that's really difficult because the lender of the object is surely not gaining anything. And that we have to, yes?
The question is my or my kab mahani le.
It goes together. My kamani lay. Why is he benefiting?
My car mahani.
It goes one sentence. There's kamani lay gives to give benefit, and masani mine is benefit from him. That's what the words, what the translation of the words means. So I have two truths over here. You're right. There's no reason why somebody that's not allowed to benefit shouldn't lend. The case in the Mishnah is that both of them are not allowed to benefit from each other. The Mishnah means in the case where two people, and that's the way it usually happens. One person says, I make a neder, I'm not going to benefit from you. And the other one says, I make a neder, I'm not going to benefit from you. So when the Mishnah says, the case is that both of them are also from each other. And that's the reason why it says that you're not allowed to lend, you're not allowed to borrow, because somebody's going to be borrowing. The only benefit is only borrowing, not lending. And the Mishnah's case is that both of them made a neder not to benefit, so both of them cannot borrow from each other. So that's why he says don't lend, don't borrow, because somebody's borrowing. And that's what the Mishnah means. The Mishnah means only in the case where both of them are not allowed to benefit. But if you only have a one way, that one person is not allowed to benefit, so he'd be allowed to lend, because when you're lending an object, you're not gaining anything. And you could even say that when you're lending money, also you're not gaining anything, even though we said a second ago that you could say sometimes he gains by getting back a better money. That's not maybe the Gemara at the end doesn't want to say that it's only us that both of them are not a lot of benefits, and then they're not allowed to borrow from each other. But regular benefit is only called when you borrow, not when you lend. Abaye Amar Gzeira Lisho Mishum Lahashe. That is a Gzeira that really doesn't not allowed to borrow. The Ruben, the one who's not allowed to benefit, this is not allowed to borrow. It would be allowed to lend, but they make it Gzeira that if you're going to lend, you're going to borrow also. And also by all of them, we're going to say the reason is because of Gzeira. The three things about lending an object, lending lending money, buying and selling, everything could be a Gzeira. One is also because of the other one. And
so
here
the Baya explaining the Mishnah? Or
yes, he's coming to explain the Mishnah.
The Mishnah also came out with a Gezeri. They also knew
not also, that's the problem. We're trying to explain it, but the Mishnah says something that doesn't make sense. In order to explain the Mishnah, you have to say that the Mishnah meant Gezeri. The reason why the Reuben, the one who's not allowed to benefit, should not lend. Nothing wrong with lending, really, just because we want that there shouldn't be any lending between them, because if he's going to lend, he's going to also borrow back. He's also going to borrow. And Reuben is not allowed to borrow because he's not allowed to benefit. That's called a benefit. Borrowing is surely a benefit. And first we go into other places, you don't see this Gezerah. We had other places that it's only us one, but you don't say it's us to give benefit. And they say to Rutzim. Here it might be there, they say it's talking about any Jew, not to benefit from not a lot of benefit from any Jew. So then if you're going to say he's also not allowed to, you're going to make zeros over there, so then he's going to be cut off. There's not going to be any connection. But that's conscious. That's to leave it at that the Mefarshim is conscious that other places you don't see this Gezerah, that you're not allowed to give benefit because you might benefit. Only over here is the Gemara says such a Gezerah that don't give benefit because you might get benefit. So that's the Mishnah. The Mishnah had cases of lending objects, lending money, and transactions, buying and selling, that it says that the one who's not allowed to benefit, it says the horror that you're not allowed to do both ways. The question was, let's put it simple, that by buying and selling, we do understand both of them in some cases are going to be gaining, which the Gemara said earlier, a regular transaction as vina mitzvah, a regular price, a normal price, everyone's considered gaining. By lending objects or by lending money, the Pasha says only if you borrow are you gaining, but if you're lending, you're not gaining anything. The Gemara at one point says that we can understand by lending money that you're also gaining, and the Gemara doesn't explain why. But the Mefarshim say because sometimes you get back a better bill than you gave, and the Gemara comes out at the end. How come you're not allowed to lend an object? Either you really are allowed to. It's only in the case where both of them are not allowed to benefit from each other. There is no issur for the one who's not allowed to benefit. There is no issur for him to lend an object. And Abaye says the reason is because of Gezerah. Don't lend because it might come to borrow. Okay, if that's good, we go on to the next Mishnah. Amalo, Hashileni Parasa. One person said to the other, lend me your cow. Amalo Ena Pnuya. It's not available. I need it. I can't lend it to you. I don't know why the Gemara Mishnah gives the whole scenario. It doesn't usually give a whole scenario. It just says, I don't know why the Gemara gives the scenario. First he excused himself, and the other one didn't accept the excuse. You don't want to lend me your cow. Konam Sadi Shani Chovish Balolam. He made a nether. I'm never going to benefit from your cow. You don't want to lend me your cow? I'm never going to benefit from your cow. I don't know why the Mishnah goes into the drama over here. But the question is when he says that he says Shani. Konam Sadi Shani Chovish Balolam. I'm making Isser on my field that it should never, whatever the point is, I'm not going to use your cow. I'm not going to benefit from your cow, ever. What does it mean when he says I? Does it mean him personally? He shouldn't be the plowman? Or does it mean there's not even a higher plowman that should use this neighbor's cow? What does the word ani mean? So it says it depends on the circumstance. If he's a person, he's a plowman, that he also uses the cow, usually that to plow by himself, he has hands on, so then he might have only meant himself. And he would be mutter for other people to use it for him, to plow his field with his neighbor's cow, because he only made another, I'm not going to use it. But if he doesn't usually plow himself, he has a field, then he hires people to plow. So when he says, I'm not going to plow, he doesn't mean he never plows. It means I'm not going to use your cow for my field. It doesn't mean me personally. It means I'm not going to get anybody to use it either. And then everybody's asking because that's what he meant. So we evaluate, we assess what he might have meant. If he's a person who plows himself, when he says, I'm not going to plow, So he might have only meant himself personally, but that doesn't mean that he's not going to borrow it or rent it for other people to use for him. But if he's a person that never plows himself, when he says, I'm not going to plow, he doesn't mean himself. He never plows. It means I'm not going to get even my workers to plow with your ox. So good. That's what he meant to say. We just evaluate according to the circumstance what he meant.
How do we stick the issue of the cow into the Lashon of Sadi?
Zanichosh ba.
The ba is the cow.
The ba is the cow.
Oh, so the Israel knows the cow. Then
Right, it's answering the cow. I don't know why he says so. Maybe he meant if I asked myself to
is your cow on my field?
on my field.
On this
But he
field?
could have said Konim Shani Chosh Ba'olam. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if to take out the word Sadi. Konim Shani Chosh Ba'olam. And what does Konim mean? He's answering something. He's asking the cow, he's answering his field, whatever you'd like to say. It could be that he answers his field to benefit from the cow. However, the nusach, however, you answer yourself or you answer the other thing. But that's like the other Mishnah. Next Mishnah. It's all printed together, but it's a new Mishnah. Somebody is not allowed, is usher to be nenda from his friend. Again, classical example, Reuben is not allowed to benefit from Shimon, but Reuben doesn't have anything to eat. And Shimon wants to give him to eat, but he can't because Reuben is not allowed to benefit from him. Is there any way that Shimon can get the food to Reuben without officially being called that Reuben benefited from Shimon? So it says in Eitzah, go Shimon should go to the grocer. He tells the grocer, our friend Reuben, I'm a good friend, he made whatever reason they made a neder over there, but Reuben is not allowed to benefit from me, and I don't know what to do. Like he doesn't have what to eat. So the grocer understands what's happening. Who knows? Say no. So the grocer could give Reuben food, and he could take money from Shimon. So in other words, Shimon roundabout did pay for Reuben's grocery bill, but this is the way that it's mutter. Why is it mutter? The Rishonim will say because the grocer has no right, cannot officially collect from Shimon. Means even though Shimon hinted to him, everyone understands. He's hinting to him that if you're going to give him food, I'm going to pay you for it. But he didn't say it in a way that obligates him. Means in Bezdin, whatever, officially, he's not really chayiv. Shimon just hinted he has a problem, and you can understand that I'll take care of it, but I'm not mechuyev to take care of it. If Shimon will say to the grocer, give him and I'll give you, then it's usher, because since he's obligated, that's called that Shimon really gave it to the Reuben. Just went to the grocer, but he really gave Reuben. So he has to do it in a way that he's not obligated. The grocer, yes, he's taking a risk. The grocer's taking a risk.
I thought when it says he gave it to the grocer.
Doesn't say that.
I thought the word no saying. I didn't say that.
Which words? But who? The grocer no saying lo. The grocer gives to Reuben.
No. Oh, the grocer. I thought he gave it to the grocer.
No.
And then
He
took it from the grocer.
is the grocer
The grocer
gives
gave
to
it,
Reuben, the one who's hungry.
and Shimon, it
Well,
never said that
comes.
Shimon gave him one.
It doesn't, right, it doesn't. And then
Oh, I thought
and then
it
the grocer,
changed
then the
domains.
grocer comes and takes from Shimon. The grocer gives to Reuben, and the grocer gets the money from Shimon.
Well, couldn't Shimon just say, I'm giving you this food
No, that's also because I'm giving you this food for a present or what?
to the
yeah.
grocer?
I'll give you for a present,
And but
you don't
Reuben
you don't give
needs-
it to me. You can do whatever you want to with it. That-
but Reuben needs some help.
It could be, and it could be that's going to be maybe coming up, or if not this Mishnah, maybe another Mishnah, that maybe that'd be another way he can do it. Shimon will
Okay,
give
so
a
what are we
present to the
saying? What is
grocer.
Rishonim saying?
Yeah, this is a different case. This is that the grocer gives from he has a
On his
grocery
own.
store. He gives from his grocery store. He gives to Reuven, who's hungry, and he understands that if he goes to Shimon, Shimon will give him money. That's the mission. That's okay. But the Rishonim say it's only because the Shimon is not obligated to give the grocer money, because he didn't say give him and I'll pay his bill. If he would have said that, he obligates himself. So then it's as if he's giving
Oh,
to just to give it to another hand doesn't help. It has to be that you're really not giving it.
I say this way, so Shimon's being the nice guy, and the way I was saying is the grocer's being the nice guy. And I think they could both work then.
What way
Shimon
is the
could go
grocer
back to the
nice?
grocer and say, I don't know you,
Exactly.
right?
And now you're saying
And
another.
if Shimon gave it to the grocer, and then the grocer's, well, I didn't have to give anything to Reuben.
I don't have to give it to her. You gave me a present. So thank you very much. That's gonna be, that, your case is gonna be a mission later on. Maybe it's even, I forgot if it's gonna be right here. I think it's gonna be later on.
Okay.
So that's one case, and then there's another case, which is more or less the same halacha, but instead of a grocer, it goes to something which is not as big a need. The Rishonim say that the next case is the same halacha, just it's not as necessary as food. You might say for food, we permitted this loophole, but maybe not for building. So he wants to build a house, he wants something to be fixed. You might think that only for food did we're really. So the Mishnah says no, big chiddush. He had to want to build his house, he needed somebody to build, and he had a fence to make, he needed a fence maker, he needed somebody to harvest his field. And again, Reuven is the one who's not allowed to benefit from Shimon. Shimon is the one who knows how to build. Shimon is the kablan. He's built his gates, and he's a worker to cut down the field, but he can't benefit from Shimon. So so Shimon goes. I said Shimon is the one who does it himself. He also has money. He's happy to pay for Reuven's needs, but Reuven cannot benefit from Shimon. So Shimon can go to the workers and tell them that Reuven needs this and this thing. That Reuven is not allowed to benefit from me. I don't know what to do because he has needs that I want to take care of, but I can't. So they figure it out and they do whatever he needs. They go to Reuven and say, "What do you need? Which house do you want to build? Fence, field." They know anymore. Then they come. The workers come back to Shimon and he'll pay the bill. And again, the same thing is that he's not chayiv to pay the bill, because if he would be chayiv to pay the bill, he wouldn't have done this. He can't do this trick because he's really giving it straight to Reuven. But since they cannot demand the payment from Shimon, he's allowed to pay them, even though he orchestrated that they should go to him. That's and get the work done. That's not called a benefit. Third case, how you mahalchin bader. Oh, this is going to be like Yaakov's case. They're going on the road, Reuven and Shimon, and other people also. And Reuven doesn't have what to eat, and Shimon would like to give him, but he can't because Reuven's not allowed to benefit from him. So Shimon should give somebody else over there. There's a Levi over there, Yehuda, Dan, a bunch of people. So he gives somebody a present. This is what Levi wanted to do before he gave it to the grocer. But the grocer has food; he doesn't need it. Mm-hmm. Here, they don't have the food. But Shimon has food and he wants to get it over to Reuven. So he tells Levi, "Here, I'm giving you a present. It's yours. Do whatever you want with it." And Levi understands that it was given to him in order to give it over to Reuven. So he's allowed to. Why? L'shum is like l'shem. You say l'shem matan. He gives it to him for the purpose of a present. Means that I'm not giving it to you only to give it over to Reuven. I'm giving it to you as yours. It's yours. 100% is yours. If you want to, you can eat it. But he understands it was given to him in order to pass on to Reuven. So then Reuven's not to get it. But what if there's nobody else there? They're on the road and there's only Reuven and Shimon. How is Shimon going to be able to get it to Reuven? There's no Levi over there. And many more mach if nobody's there. So Tanakama says he's allowed to be mafkirin. So Shimon can put it down and say it's Hefker, anybody that wants. And Reuven's not to come and take it because he didn't get it from Shimon, he got it from Hefker. But the Yossi also. The Yossi says you're not allowed to do this last thing. He agrees to everything else, but he doesn't agree to this last thing.
Because he's aware that he's have to make mafkir in front of him. Reuven knows that he's mafkir.
He was mafkir. He was mafkir.
Right,
so what's the problem? It's Hefker now. He didn't get it from Shimon, he got it from Hefker. So why is it us? That's the question. Yossi needs an explanation. I think wasn't asked right away. My time of the Yossi.
What's Misha? Yeah.
The whole Mishiach quotes. Whoever wants to can take it. That's what he announces. And
he's the only person there, Reuven or whatever.
Yeah, that's what he said.
The word Yaakov.
So anyone who desires.
See, so I'm asking if nobody's there, is that also called Hefker? I think this is a sugi coming up. How many people you have to be marker in front of? I think it's a sugi. I didn't see it.
I'm thinking it a little differently. I'm saying that if he's the only person there, so obviously he's giving it to him. But if there's
you didn't give it to him. You didn't give it to him. He said it's Hefker.
No, I meant you can interpret it that he's implanting.
Everyone knows. The other cases also, everybody understands what's happening. We understand what's happening. But officially, he didn't get it from me. I gave it over to somebody else, and he gave it to you, and he didn't have to give it to you if he didn't want to. Or other cases, all the cases in the Mishnah were cases that Shimon got it to Reuven.
There's a second hand involved.
But the hand doesn't mean that just handed it over. That wouldn't be enough. It has to be that he really gave it to somebody else, and then somebody else gave it So that was a mission till now. The base Chiddush is the last case over there. He just was mafkirit. Is that enough? Tanakama says it's also enough. As long as Shimon was mafkirit, now Ruby's allowed to take it. They took it from Hefker. Of course, he knows that Shimon was the one who was mafkirit.
What about Rabbi Yosef? What it say about the previous cases?
It's okay. He agrees to the previous
That
case.
is doesn't agree.
Only this case he doesn't agree, and that's the kasha. Why not?
I'm
Rabbi
not
Yochanan.
quickly go over the cases before. Go on.
He goes to the
Okay.
grocer and it says Ruben is hungry. Get it? Ruben's hungry.
Yeah.
You know me? Ruben,
he's
me,
saying-
he.
yeah.
Asabana. What can I do? So
Right,
the
that
grocer, Nofel lo Asimon, and he gives the food to Ruben, and then he goes to Shimon and he says, I gave food to Ruben. So Shimon wants to, we could say, you're very nice. Yashikoyach. There's mitzvahs. So, but since he doesn't have to pay him, so he's allowed to pay him. Shimon's allowed to pay him because he wasn't obligated. If he would have said, pay, give him the food and I'll pay you, that's also because it's as if he gave it straight to Reuben. But since he told him Reuben has a problem, and the grocer took a chance, took a risk that maybe Shimon's not going to pay him, so that's mutter. And even if Shimon's going to pay him, that's not called that Shimon gave it to Reuben. So that's the question. Why time of Rabbi Yossi? If Shimon was mafkirit, now why is Reuben not allowed to take it? So the Gemara says Rabbi Yochanan, there's going to be a few terutzim over here. But the first one is Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan, my time of Rabbi Yossi, kasav hefker kamatana. He holds that hefker works the same mechanics as a present works. When a present, it doesn't leave the domain of the giver until it comes to the domain of the receiver, the recipient. How does hefker work? When you disown something, does it already leave your domain even before somebody picks it up? We would think, yes, I disowned it, so now it's hefker. So the Moshe says, no, that's what Tanakama holds. But the Yossi holds, even when you disown something, it's just waiting to be taken over. But it's going to become a present. It means it still belongs to the giver, to the mafkir, until the zocher. There's a mafkir and a zocher. The mafkir is the person who disowned it, and the zocher is the one who acquires it. So it still remains, even though you put it in the street and said this is hefker, it's just another way of saying I'm willing to give it to anybody who's going to take it, but it's not given until he takes it. So if the Shimon here is going to put it down and say it's hefker, and then Reuben takes it, so it went straight from Shimon to Reuben. It wasn't in nobody. It wasn't in no man's land, because he holds that hefker works. That you only have the right. Everybody has the right to take it away from the giver, but it belongs to the giver until you do that. Tanakama holds once you're mafkir, it's out of your rishus, and now he's taking it from no man's land. He's taking it from hefker. But Rabbi Yossi holds that hefker doesn't work that way. Hefker always works that you have a right to take it and acquire it directly from the giver. So that's why now Reuben can't take it from hefker because he's taking it from Shimon.
And Rabbi Yossi would also hold that way with Nezikin.
What does Nezikin mean?
You put some kind of a mixture in Shusarab, and you say it's hefker, I'm making it hefker, and then someone gets damaged by it.
It doesn't make. I think over there it doesn't make a difference. I think that maybe it's a complicated sugya, but a person is obligated for the object that's hefker also. If he made a mixture, even though he's mafkirit, he's still obligated on damages, even though it's hefker. He's saying quite of Yossi shouldn't, because it's not hefker yet. That it still belongs to you. I think even according to Rabbanan, if someone's going to mafkir something he made a mixture, even if he's mafkirit, he's still fine. But
He's
maybe
still high because he's the one
because he put it over there. But maybe mafkir and the zakav. There's a
okay.
word. There's a term about it. Mafkir and the zakav. I forgot how it goes.
Okay.
But the Gemara says can't be. That was a Brochanan's pshat. And the Gemara is going to come back to this pshat later on. I saw tomorrow's Gemara is going to have that, but I didn't get it yet. But I see the Gemara is going to come back to Brochanan's pshat. Our Gemara has a kasha and knocks it off. Masif Ababa. How could you say that that's the reason of Rabbi Yossi? It says in the Brisa. Ba'allah notel volchel, Rabbi Yossi Yosef. So far, that's the same as the Mishnah. The Mishnah said, Tanakama says that you could be mafkirit, and Reuven could come and take it, but Rabbi Yossi says you're not allowed to. So far, that's the quote of the Mishnah. But now Rabbi Yossi says, I'm Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi is the one who says you're not allowed to do that. When do I say that it's usher? Only if the neder that Reuven is not allowed to benefit from Shimon was before Shimon was mafkir his items. So then Reuven is not allowed to take it. But if if first Shimon was mafkir his item, and then Reuven became also to benefit from Shimon, then he's allowed to take it. That's the end of the brisa. Again, it says even if Yossi holds that you're not allowed to take from hefker, that's only if it was mufkar after the neder. But if it was mufkar before the neder, he wouldn't be allowed to take it. And according to the Yochanan's explanation, it's not true. If you say that Rabbi Yossi holds that hefker doesn't leave the domain of the giver of the mafkir until it comes to the domain of the recipient, there's no difference. Mali nidro kodem efkero, mali efkero kodem nidro. What's the difference? Which was first? If it still belongs to Shimon, Shimon was mafkir something first, and then Reuben had a neder on him, or Shimon made a neder that Reuben cannot benefit from him. It still is in the domain of Shimon. If Rabbi Yossi holds that hefker does not leave the domain of the mafkir until it's picked up by somebody, so he was, even if Shimon was mafkir something, and then the neder came upon Reuben that he can't benefit. Also, he can't take this thing from Shimon, from hefker, because it still belongs to Shimon. So that disproves Rabbi Yochanan.
Because Rabbi Yossi also agrees.
Rabbi Yossi himself says, the Raisa
This
says,
was
Rabbi
Rabbi Yossi.
Rabbi Yossi himself agrees that if it will be first the hefker and then the neder, I agree that Reuven is allowed to take it. And according, if Rabbi Yochanan's logic is the svara of Rabbi Yossi, then it wouldn't be true.
Okay.
So that Raisa is against Rabbi Yochanan's pshat. So now we try number two. I think that the usually the Gemara says this. Usually the Gemara will say Ella Marava. He asked the kasha and he answered it. Usually, I think that usually, maybe I made a mistake. I think that usually this is coming to answer what the question was, not that he's going to say new teretz. Let's see what he says.
This is Rav Abba.
This is Rava. Ella.
Rabbi
Oh, you're right. Must have, you're right.
Rabbi Abba.
Rabbi Abba, right? The Rabbi's going to ask the question, and he says the answer, right?
Mhm.
Kol anoder ein daito al ma shehifkia. Maybe so it is going to. It's still going to Rabbi Yochanan. It's still going to Rabbi Yochanan. That the Rabbi Yossi holds. Good. No, I didn't have that. This is still going with Rabbi Yochanan's pshat, and then now the Gemara is going to knock it off, and then it's going to be a new pshat. Okay, I got it. So this teretz says Kol anoder ein daito al ma shehifkia is still going with Rabbi Yochanan. That what Rabbi Yochanan say that Rabbi Yossi holds hefker works, that it still remains in the domain of the mafkir until it's picked up by somebody. So what was the kasha? How come if he was first mafkir and then the neder took effect, that he is allowed, the Shimon is allowed to take it? How are you allowed to take it? Take it away from Shimon. It still belongs to Shimon. The answer is that whenever you make a neder, you don't have in mind, you don't intend to answer that which is already hefker.
Because in his mind, it's not his anymore.
But
Because in
yeah,
his mind,
even though it is, it really is. Officially, it still belongs to Shimon.
Yes.
But he made a neder, either Shimon made the neder, Reuben made the neder, anybody that's making a neder is not referring to Shimon, to that thing. He's not
To
referring to
things
things
that
that
he
Shimon was
made.
already mafkir, even though legally belongs to him. But I didn't mean to answer it. So Rabbi Yochanan is still good. Rabbi Yochanan's pshat is good. That Rabbi Yossi holds the mechanics of hefker is that it belongs to the mafkir until it's picked up by somebody. And therefore, if someone made a neder that I can't benefit from Shimon, and then Shimon was mafkir something, I can't use that thing because it belongs to Shimon. But if the hefker was first, Shimon was mafkir his item first, and then there was a neder, either Shimon made the neder, Reuben made the neder, that Reuben is not allowed to benefit from Shimon, they didn't mean to answer the thing which Shimon was mafkir.
Mhm.
Why? Because he was mafkir, not because it doesn't belong to him. Even if it belongs to him, it's like somebody saying, I'm answering everything that belongs to you to benefit from you, except for that bookcase.
Yeah.
Okay, if you said not that bookcase, okay. So here we answered everything that still was not mafkir. Once you're mafkir, I don't mean that. So that Rabbi Yochanan's shot still goes through. We could explain it like that, and the Brisa makes sense. But there's a kasha on this. Masif Rabba is going to attack this. Is that true that when a person is making a neder, he doesn't mean certain things? And the kasha is going to be from a different subject altogether, and I don't know why the Gemara feels comfortable that this is a right one case to the other. But the Gemara brings a, I don't know, Brisa or Mishnah. Utzastam levishon v'kulam l'sheni v'shon kana sheni lo kana. That's the kasha. Just to highlight that, that's going to be the kasha. So what does it mean? So I saw them first. I didn't show them over here, but I'll tell you the Rosh's shot. I think that's is the thing. Just a little preface. When a person is a shchid meira, he's dying, and he's giving away his giving a presents. So then it gets better. He got a how do you say?
He healed.
Got healed. So say he got better. He got better again. He got better again.
Yes, amazing.
Yeah. revived, whatever you're gonna say. So can he say, I didn't mean to give it, I only meant to give it because I thought I was gonna die. But Baruch Hashem, I got better, so I didn't mean to give it under such circumstances. So it depends if he gave everything away or he gave only some things away. If he gave everything away, then it's obvious he only gave because he thought he was gonna die. Because if he wanted to, thought if he meant to give it as a manas bori, so then he wouldn't have given away everything. But if he did keep something for himself, so then that shows that he thinks that even if he lives, because
He might
wouldn't-
live, therefore
wouldn't
he
have
doesn't
kept-
want to give
but when he
everything.
gives everything away, that means he's giving it as a manas shemera. He's giving it because he's dying. If he doesn't give everything away, so then
He doesn't believe his mama's gonna die. He's not sure.
so when he's giving it something away, he's giving it away for keeps, even if he is going to live. That's a regular call, but a shemera that's gives everything away and he gets better. How does it say? I forgot the Hebrew. He got healthy again. So if he gave everything away, he gets everything back. But if he gave only some things away, not everything, so then it means he gave it in all circumstances. He meant to give it as a healthy man. He didn't mean dafka because I'm going to die, and then he wouldn't be able to retract his present. So here the case was that he gave part of his nechasim to one person.
Rishon.
There was a Rishon and a Sheni. He gave one person. He gave
part to
part
Rishon.
to one person, to the first person, and then he said, "All my property goes to the second one." What do you mean to say? Was he retracting from giving it to the first one? He's retracting and saying, "No, I'm not giving it to the first one. I'm giving everything to the second one, even what I gave to the first one." He needs
Now
to
that I see
retract, and I'm
that,
giving
yeah.
it to somebody else. He retracted, or
Or
does he
just
mean to
like a
say the
maid.
leftover? What the leftover? What do these words mean? When he gave some to one and everything to two, does the everything retracting what he gave to the first one, and he means to give everything to the second one? It means he didn't give it. He didn't actually give it. If he gave it, he gave it. But he made a will or a statement, a declaration that he's giving everything to Reuven. I don't want to say Reuven Shimon because that's our main characters over here. But he said, "I'm giving everything to. I'm giving something. I'm giving my house to Levi," and then he says, "I'm giving everything to Yehuda." Does everything mean everything else? Or does everything mean the household stuff? Forget about Reuven, nothing. The Levi, nothing. Everything goes to Yehuda.
Maybe it depends where did he say it
Let's see.
together or not together?
Let's see what it says here. Here it says, the case was, that's the case. So the halacha is Rishon Kana, Sheni Lo Kana. And then he got better.
So when it got better,
So when he got better, so
we do divide it. and
So we say the
that
first one got the house, whatever he gave to
Because-
Reuben, he got, because at that point, he didn't give everything away.
Later.
He just gave away part, only gave away his house. So Levi is gonna get it. But Yehuda is not gonna get because
Because he
he
said
gave him the rest. Once he gave away the rest of his property, so then he's giving everything, he's giving away everything. That's a man of Shemera. And when he gets better, he's allowed to retract.
Can't you put the two together and say that he's gonna give everything away and that the part he gives to Levi is part of the everything? It's not like separate from the everything.
The other choice is what Chaim David saying, that he, no, again, I'm sorry, I think you just said what I said. When you say that he gave the house to Levi and everything else, and then he said everything
And
to
all the rest.
Yehuda, what does he mean to say? He means everything else. That's what I said so far, that he gave everything else. So since that's true, so,
Nobody gave to
no,
Levi.
I'm sorry. No, you're right. Again, if, when a person is giving away his nechasim, if he's doing it, he really wants to give everything away. I think that's what Chaim David was saying. He really wants to give everything away. So he says the house to Levi and everything else to Yehuda. And then he got better. So then the Reuben wouldn't get it. Levi wouldn't get it because he was giving everything away. Even though Levi said, "What do you mean? He only gave me the house, and then he had everything else left. He had another 10 fields." No, I just was speaking it out. I was saying you get the house, and he gets everything else. So that was all one big
All one
statement, and the
process.
package. I was giving everything away.
Mhm.
So therefore, when he gets better, the Reuben doesn't get, Levi doesn't get anything. But it doesn't say that.
Nobody gets them.
Nobody gets anything because he gave away everything. He gave you this, and he gave everything away. So then, and it gets better. Nobody gets anything. But it doesn't say that. It says Rishon Kana, Sheni Lo Kana. It means why should that be? Why should that be? It must be that we understand him. That first he gave Reuben the house, and then he had second thoughts, and he said, "No, everything goes to Yehuda, including the house." if that's how we interpret it. So then when he gets better, so Yehuda doesn't get anything because he gave away everything. But at the time when he gave Levi the house, so he only gave him a house and everything else he wasn't giving away. So the fact that it says Rishon Kana, Sheni Lo Kana, we see that that's how we interpret his words. If he said, I'm giving the house to Levi, I'm giving, and then it comes back and says, I'm giving everything to Yehuda, he's retracting. And he's saying, even the thing that I gave to Levi, I'm now giving to Yehuda. Good? From here, the Gemara is the kasha on what we just said. This contradicts.
Even though he did that,
What?
because he was retracting, then that shows that when he gave it to Reuben, he didn't think he was gonna die.
He gave it to Reuben, even
I'm not
if
leaving
he's
to
not going to die. Levi, right? He's giving it to Levi, even if he's not going to die, because you see, he didn't give everything away. He does give away his house.
Because he
Why?
retracted it later. It wasn't like one false.
Right, right. It wasn't one declaration of you this, you this, you this. If so, then he gave everything away, and when he gets better, the Levi
Nobody
shouldn't get
gets
anything. Since he says that Levi, the first one, does get what he was given, is because we understand that when he gave him whatever he gave him, he meant only that, and he didn't give everything away. And this was given to him, to the Rishon. And now that he got better, he has no right to retract. When he said, and everything, Sheni, Kulon the Sheni, he meant to then retract what he had given. And that's the reason that the Sheni doesn't get anything, because he gave away all of his lechasim.
Why can't you say that why do you have to add that he retracted? Why can't you just read it simply? He gave something to Reuben, to Levi, he gave something to Rishon.
You say Rishon is better, yeah.
And then there's gonna be and then there was a break. And that's done. What I did, and now I'm gonna die, and whatever I have left, I'm gonna give to him.
Mhm.
And that would be the simple way, or is that just so pashut?
No, if it sounds good, and then the Gemara doesn't make sense. The way you're
The
saying it,
Gemara
that
won't make
Rishon
sense.
Kana,
Because the Mishnah is too obvious.
no, the other choice would be, the question is if he's meant everybody, if it was all, I'm giving you this
The
and
Kulam
this,
meaning
and
that's
then the first one, then Rishon also won't get anything because he got better. He only gave it away because he's giving everything away, and he's gonna die. But now that he didn't die, he gets it all back. The fact that you see that the Rishon does get, that is allowed to keep it, even though the giver got better, that shows us
It's meant to be a chiddush.
what.
It's meant to be a chiddush, so that's what you're saying. He retracted, and still he gets to
That
keep
shows that they weren't together. That much shows us that they weren't given as one statement of giving away all of his property. That much you do see. That much you do see. You agree to that point?
it. Mhm.
But now you're asking, but how do you know if when he gave everything to Sheni, does that mean that he's giving away even what he gave to
Yeah, I already know I
Rishon.
gave that. To Levi, so.
that I
Kind of
gave,
did.
and now I'm giving everything else?
But if it's
For some reason that goes, if he says everything else, that's what the Gemara wants. If he gave everything else to Sheni, so that means that the Ruvain part, the Gemara looks at it like maybe the kasha is still a valid kasha. The Gemara looks at it that then it's one giving. I gave this to Rishon and the rest to Sheni. And if he got better, then the Rishon also should be nullified because that was part of the giving away of all of my property.
Right.
If you
Oh,
say,
okay.
that's how the Gemara understands, that if it would be that Sheni only gets whatever is left besides what he gave Rishon, so then the Rishon shouldn't get anything because it was one giving away. I gave Rishon this, and the rest went to Sheni. And now I guess I gave away all my property. Rishon is not like a thing on its own. I gave to Rishon
Only if he
something,
retracts.
and the rest, and then it means I gave away all my property. It maybe took a couple of days, but I gave him, and then I gave him. You see, I'm giving everything away.
I see.
So then when he gets better, so everything should be nullified. The fact that you see that Rishon keeps what he got is because he didn't mean to say the rest of it goes to Sheni. He had a new thought, and he said, I gave this to Rishon. No, everything, including what I gave to Rishon, goes to Sheni. So then Sheni doesn't get anything because the giver got better, and he gave away all of his property, so he keeps it, he gets it back. but was given to Rishon was given only as one thing, and he left the giver had left things for himself, and there's no reason when he gets better he should be able to retract from moving from Rishon. That's the Mishnah or Bryce over there. I didn't look it up for what it is. So that's the Mor's kasha. From this case, we're going to attack what it says in the green. The purple, whatever the pink is going to attack the green. Here it says when a person made a neder,
Is the kasha.
this was the kasha already. That was the kasha. Most of this was the kasha. Kasha's over. And it knocks off the premise that we made. We said that when someone is making a neder, I'm mastering myself and everything, Reuben is not allowed to benefit from Shimon. It does not include what he was already mafkir. And the Gemara thinks that that's a contradiction. Because over here you say that when he gives something to Sheni after Rishon, he's going back on what he gave to Rishon also. You don't just say that he's continuing. He gave something to Rishon, and now he's giving everything to Sheni. That also includes what he gave to Rishon. So too, when someone
as if it's hefker.
What?
What he gave to Rishon is as if it's hefker.
Right, it went to somebody else, and you still see that when he makes everything to Sheni, that includes what he gave to Rishon. So too, if someone made a neder on everything of Shimon, so it even includes what he gave away. So the Gemara, you might say that it's different cases, a neder and a sale, whatever I give, a present, but the Gemara looks at it as the same. And therefore, Rabbi says that this svara of Rabba is not true. You can't say kol hanoder al dat ain't dat al mashayifkir. Kol hanoder dat al kol mashayesh. The same way, when you give a present to Sheni, it's on kol mashayesh, even if it was given to Rishon already. So therefore, if Yochanan doesn't have this terror, it says pshat is all. So back to the kash again. Why is Rabbi Yossi say that? Yes, again, Reuben is not a benefit from Shimon, and they're all alone on the river. Some food he wants to get it to Reuben. Why can't he put it down and say it's hefker, like Rabbanan said? The reason Rabbi Yossi is different than Rabbi Yochanan said is because of Xera, because there's a case of a precedent. There's a case the matana of Beis Choron. What's that? It's a mission later on. A couple of pages we're going to have it, and that was a story in Beis Choron. Beit Choron is a place. We have today Beit Choron also. So there was a story over there that someone made a neder that his father shouldn't benefit from him. I guess they want to fight. He made a neder that his father shouldn't benefit from him. And the son was making a wedding for his son, and he wanted to invite his father. So the father wasn't allowed to come because he has to benefit from his son. The son's making a feast, a wedding banquet, and the father wouldn't be allowed to attend the wedding. So he went to somebody and said, I'm giving you the whole wedding. The whole meal, everything, the whole feast belongs to you.
A third was.
Oh yeah, a good friend. He told them, a good friend, that I'm giving you everything. Of course, the reason is because I want my father to be able to come, and if it's mine, he can't come. So the friend said, everything is mine, everything is hector's. So he said, everything is hector's. I gave it to you. I gave it to you because I want my father to come. So he said, yeah, you want your father to come, and I should get Avera. In other words, you don't really mean it. You meant to show him that you don't really mean it. You're not giving it to me because we're really giving it to me. It's a fake. You're a liar. You're counterfeit. You're saying that you don't really mean it. Are you really giving it to me?
The father of the son. He made it
father of the son, the son of the father. The son of the father.
Wasn't the son marrying off his son?
Yes.
Okay, so the father of the groom.
The middle generation.
Is he the one that made it hefker? He made the stuff hefker one.
Neder. He asked his father to benefit from him. He asked his father to benefit from him. Now he's making a wedding.
Calling him A, and then a B.
A, B, and C. So the A is the grandfather, the Zaidi is the A, and then the middle generation is B, and the son is C. And now B has a problem. He wants to invite his father. So he gave it away to a friend. Call him whatever you want.
Oh, he gave away all his.
He said, all my property, the whole meal, I'm giving you a present. My good friend, the whole banquet here is all yours. Why?
And that guy made it hefker.
No, he made it hektish. He made hektish or hektish. He was not this.
Nobody can have no.
That's the case. He said everything's hektish. He gave you a present. He wanted to show him what everything's hektish. He said everything's hektish. I gave it to you to make it hektish. I gave it to you that my father should be able to come. So he said, what did you just say? That you didn't give it to me. So he didn't give it to me. So your father can't come. don't say he gave it to me. Don't say he's proving it, but he didn't really give it to me. He didn't give it. All these cases, he gives it belief shalom, and when he puts it down on it makes it hefker, let's say, whatever, or he gives it to somebody, it really belongs to him. If you really would give it away and say, "Want to make hedge? It's yours. What do you want?" Then then the father could come because he really gave it away. But if it's just a fake out, doesn't work. So here Rava says that that's Shana Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi says this case is too similar to the case of Beis Choron, because if he puts it down and says it's hefker, and nobody else is taking it, everyone knows no one else is taking it. It looks too much like it's not believed children. It looks too much like it's really not hefker. So he made a gzera that don't do this thing. If you're giving it to somebody else, then it's somebody else's, and you're giving it like the Gemara's Mishnah says
Make
earlier.
it hefker is too much.
To make it
like
hefker when nobody else is there.
what
and it's-
happened in Beis.
Right, it's a gzera. It's similar that you're going to think that it's just a formality and it's not real. It's not a formality. It has to be. The point is, it has to be real. So if there's reason to think that it's not, that they think it's just a formality, so then they don't really mean it. So he made it gzera. Adkan. Okay.
So when do you say
That
it's
was your
just a
question.
formality, or when do you say that there's
Well, the two of them are all.
I have to really mean it. That you really have to mean, like the Chiras Chamas, like really have to
It's
mean
like
it.
a
That's it.
trick.
So the one didn't mean to play right here. But there it was obviously that it was obvious it didn't mean to give it. He made a wedding banquet and he said, I'm giving it
What
to
did the
you.
Rabbi
He
answer? Said that's
really,
two words,
sure
right?
didn't mean it. He didn't make a wedding banquet to give away to.
No, it's a,
He made it
it's
because
a
of this.
zero not to do
He's
that.
making a
Oh,
wedding.
it is a
It's clear away, you
This is
know,
what happened.
about 5,000, 10,000 shekels.
Oh, this case of the, you gave away the mafia.
So first of all, he's making zero over there.
Who was that? The Gezerah was for. Everybody holds by the Gezerah? Or
No,
this was
everyone holds the
separate?
case over the base Holland case, everyone holds over there, I think over there, everyone agrees to that. That is, if you're just doing it as a formality, so then it
Then it
doesn't,
didn't
it's not work. But the question you make a zero over here, here the case was, someone put it down on the rock and said it's hefker. Well, we should be
Was that
able to
according
take
to
it.
one person? Or
That was Machlokes. The Tanakh says it's okay. So that's the Mishnah right here. The Mishnah says that here it is, the Meni Ma'amacheh.
Rabbi Yossi. So it's
So Rabbi Yossi makes it zero. The reason why he says it because he's going to think it's only a formality. He doesn't really mean it. He puts down says it's
Rabbi
hefker.
Yossi is the one that.
They made the Gzeira
Made
because
the
of base
Gzeira.
Chola. Tanakh doesn't make the Gzeira.
uh-huh.
Okay, Yeshikor, everybody. Thank you.
We're at.
So on,
Elamar.